It's into Wales. Wales through a goal. Slots it beyond Rotherham. And the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Doffin. He can hit them. And he does. The Doffin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.
Do me a favour, drop me off in Rotherham.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to New York Talk, the Rotherham United podcast. We have, sadly, quite a lot to talk about. I say sadly because none of it's positive. We've got no manager. We've lost 4-1 away from home, and we go into another away game, and we all know our away record. Happy days. Happy days. Mick, just me and you tonight. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm all right. Football aside, I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know where to start, to be honest with you. We said before we started recording, I said to you, Mick, that I'm done with talking about managers and the managerial situation. But we've got to talk about it again for another hour, Mick, because we are still there without a manager. We're probably going to go into another game. We sit here on a Thursday night. We're probably going to go into a third game without a manager. We'll talk about the ifs, where, buts, and Matt Taylor's in a moment. But it looks bad again, doesn't it?
It does. I've been thinking about it today, trying to think of a way of dressing it up into something that, whether there's any positive that you can drag out of it. But in terms of how it looks from the outside, it looks amateurish. It is how it looks. There's nothing at all coming out of the club. Nothing. Even a little bit of a sort of we're on with it. We're interviewing this week. We're doing this. We're doing the other. Some sort of output from the club would kind of give you a little bit of confidence that things are heading in the right direction. But it's just radio silence, and that kind of worries me, particularly after Tony Stewart's car crash on Sky. So yeah. I'm sure things. Obviously, they're working on it. Obviously, things are being done. Obviously, interviews we know have taken place this week. At least one we know has taken place this week. But it feels amateurish.
It does. I was going with Sarah Ogden with us, as if YouTube viewers, Martin Hall and Terry Fenby, Nathan Crabtree, Andy P, Chris Page says, "Hi all, where do we go from here?" Only one way, downwards. David Hope says, absolute ball of Rotherham United at the moment. He says, our chairman has lost the plot and is insulting us the fans. He says, time up for Mr. Stewart. He needs to sell the club and get to the next level all round. Poor. Richard Brown says, laughing stock springs to mind, the team away from home and the manager. Yeah. So let's go through the list of events. We might as well start with the managerial stuff because I don't, if we could talk about the manager for an hour, mate, we don't have to talk about the whole game. That's my theory.
No, people are just going to start. People are going to start turning off pretty rapidly if we spend an hour talking about a non-existent situation, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. So the stories from the week are that Nathan Jones shot up the odds earlier on in the week. It was then confirmed. Paul Davis confirmed that he had an interview with the club, and then about 20 minutes later, Rob Staten tweeted that there's no way that Nathan Jones is going to be the next manager of Rotherham United. That was, what was that? Wednesday? Was it Wednesday? Tuesday.
Tuesday or Wednesday, yeah.
Wednesday. So all we know, Mick, is that Nathan Jones has had an interview, as Rob Staten put in some of his tweets in replies, that it's not unheard of for managers to talk to clubs, have so-called interviews, but then not actually take the job because of one thing or another. For me, I don't think we would take that interview as a club. I don't think we're at the stage where we're just going to have a chat with some random bloke. Yeah. But if it's not at the point where we're interested in signing him up, and I understand that he's got some contractual issues at Southampton, which may hold it up anyway. But that would seem, for the timing, if it was the day after Matt Taylor had been sacked, I think I could understand that. it doesn't sit right with me, to be honest with you, if it's just an informal chat kind of thing with Nathan Jones.
I'm sure it's not. I'm sure it's a formal interview. I'm sure that will have taken place. That's what's been reported. That's what's come from the club. So yeah, I'm sure he's been interviewed. The issue for me is that I worry the fact that the issues we had with Mark Bonner last time around, and Mark Bonner, with the greatest respect to him, he's not been around the block like the likes of Nathan Jones and the other people that have been mentioned. He's obviously very new to management, and I don't want to use the word naive, but I can't think of a better one. Naive in the ways of football chairman and the way that sort of process runs. And he walked away from it now for whatever reason. That concerns me a little bit. The financial side of it concerns me significantly because Nathan Jones will have been on a proper packet down at Southampton. So there's no way we're going to get anywhere close to that, and there are probably many other clubs that would. So the question kind of raises itself as to why would he take that on? So that's one side of that argument. The other side of the argument is that he seems to me to be a manager who is more likely to deal with players that are at the level that our players are at and be more capable of dealing with those kinds of players than dealing with your sort of Premier League prima donnas, or on 200 grand a week or 100 grand a week or whatever it is they're on. So I just can't. It concerns me. Tony Stewart concerns me at the moment. His approach to it, state of mind towards it, it feels a little bit out of control, I think. So I don't know where we're going to go, but for me, he would be a fantastic appointment. And maybe, on Monday morning when we get that tweet from Sam Todd to say announcing Nathan Jones as manager, all these last 2 weeks will be ancient history, and it'd be a great appointment. But I don't know, something in the back of my mind is suggesting that it probably won't happen. It feels too good to be true, I think.
It does a bit. But would it be worth the wait? We've sacrificed 3 games. If that did happen on Monday, somebody's put in the comments earlier that they've heard something's going to happen next week. We'll wait and see. But if you were to wait 3 games and surrendered potentially 2 of them, bear in mind the away form on Saturday, is that worth waiting those 3 games to get somebody like Nathan Jones in?
It depends. It depends what the issues are, sort of backstage, doesn't it? My understanding is, and I suspect this is where Rob Staten was coming from. That there will still be some contractual issues with Southampton, whereby his contract's not been settled yet, which may then affect any future employment, or any future employment may affect any sort of settlement he's going to get from Southampton. Because I would argue with probably what's happened is they'll probably still be paying him a wage until the contract situation is sorted. And if we're not going to match that, then why would he? So we'll have to wait and see on that, and possibly that's where Rob Staten is coming from.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So that's where we all sit at the minute in terms of he's still odds-on favourite, heavy odds-on favourite, Nathan Jones. Now, what complicates or potentially smoothens matters is that Matt Taylor is set to take a new job. Now, it doesn't look good that Matt Taylor's taking a job before we've made an appointment. Let's not pretend, because that doesn't look good at all. Not that it matters, but it doesn't look great. But if Matt Taylor's going to take a job 3 weeks later, that suggests there's potentially some sort of agreement with us to either reduce the settlement or Bristol Rovers settle some of his previous contract to allow him to take the job at a new club, which could then potentially allow us to free up some cash to potentially bring something like Nathan Jones in, where we can go from there. This is all what I've just said. It's just pure speculation, Mick, to be honest with you. And we're putting 2 and 2 together, but it flies with the information we hold. That could potentially be something.
Yeah, could be. It could be, but who's to say? You know, and you're right. Ultimately, everything that we say here, and everything that Rob Staten says, and to a greater or lesser degree, what Paul Davis says, you know, is speculation to one degree or another. In our case, complete speculation. So, yeah, I'd be surprised if I can't remember what you asked me now, but I'm going to go on and just say I'd be surprised if Wayne Carlisle particularly wants to go. I mean, given the performance of the night, maybe he does now, but you know, he may well go, he may not. We don't know, do we? So that's what we asked him about with it, but.
It's not the way that it does. It is something bearing worth thinking about. That Matt Taylor's got a new job, which hasn't been announced yet, but it seems to be in the next 24 hours that Matt Taylor will be confirmed as the Bristol Rovers manager. He's going to need some staff behind him. Wayne Carlisle, I think, has been with him throughout his entire time at Exeter. So I assume Matt Taylor will want Wayne Carlisle. What also adds into this theory, I suppose, conspiracy theory that I have at the minute is there's been no press conference today. Thursday, especially for away games, Thursday is the day for the press conferences, and we have had nothing. I think the club has tweeted out twice today, one for some opening times over the Christmas period. I think maybe a Miller's May Day thing as well. That I just want to know something, to be honest with you, Mick, and that's the frustrating thing. Yeah. I'm just a fan. I'm not. I don't want to be sat on an interview board or anything like that. But I just want something to say. Yeah, there's no press conference today, but Wayne Carlisle's going to take it to tomorrow, or they've been delayed indefinitely because of something or other. It's just. It may well be tomorrow. John Henry says it'll be tomorrow. It probably will be. It's just a day later than it normally is.
Yeah, it goes back to what I was saying earlier on, doesn't it? It's just, for God's sake, give us some. Just give us a little snippet. Give us something to hang on to, official. Not sort of not through the press, and that's no offence to any of the local press at all. But let's have it from the club that things are ongoing, moving at pace, whatever. Just give us something to grab onto. I accept that they're not going to name names. That's not going to happen from the club's point of view. But it's the silence is deafening, really. And yeah, I keep going back to last week's interview, and it kind of, I'm a bit embarrassed by it, if I'm honest. Still. So anyway, there you go.
Yeah, 3 weeks. Well. Matt Taylor obviously didn't get sacked on the Saturday, but 3 weeks he did it by all accounts. So 3 weeks on Saturday will be since the Watford game, and we're still probably going to be managerless. I don't know. I don't know what else to say, to be honest with you. I feel sorry for everybody. I feel sorry for Wayne Carlisle. I feel sorry for the players. But then they're in the mess, aren't they? They're the reason we are where we are, to a certain extent, I suppose.
Yeah, they are up to a point, but what I would say, one of the positive signs, I guess, is that there's been no movement at all, and there's been no other further rumours other than the ones that we've had in the past. Over the last 3 weeks, no new names have come into the fold, and the name of Nathan Jones has just got sort of stronger and stronger as that time's gone on. So it may be, there's been no indication that anybody else has had an interview. We've not had Nathan Jones has had an interview plus 3 others or one other or whatever. There's been none of that. So it may well be that there's been a delay, or the issue is contractual, or it may be that 14 other people have been interviewed and not one of them has been spotted leaving or coming to New York Stadium.
Possibly. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see what happens. We've got a week after this, so we've got this game and then a week's break before the Swansea game. We'll come back to it as and when we have some information. That may be Sunday, maybe Monday, and maybe January. We don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, Cheryl Stone sums this up quite nice. We'll move on to the whole game. She was reasonably positive going into the Tuesday game. That lasted less than 5 minutes, down with a bang. I don't really want to talk about this, to be honest with you, because it's tough. But yeah, we all predicted. I think we all predicted wins. Make most of us predicted wins. And I think that was reasonable to suggest that, because I thought the second half against Leeds was excellent. There were reasons to suggest that there was a positive step going forward. But it lasted, like Shell says, lasted 5 minutes, and then it was same old, same old.
It was, and it wouldn't have, had they not got that early goal, I think it would have been a completely different game, because we did start off the first 2 or 3 minutes on the front foot, pressing high, working hard, and then, Grant Hall comes along, and he's one of those players, Grant Hall, who he's either absolutely fantastic or absolute garbage, and there's no real in between with him. And he was garbage the other night, and I accept he's coming back from injury and everything else, but that pass was unforgivable, absolutely unforgivable. I'd sooner him put it out for a corner than just do what he did. And oh dear, and from that point on, it just went downhill. It went absolutely downhill. I think arguably Victor might be disappointed with himself that he didn't manage to keep hold of the ball. I'm not attaching any blame whatsoever to anybody other than Grant Hall for that goal. It was awful at that stage of the game as well. They weren't causing us any problems. I don't get it. I don't understand. And then the comment that that Shelley's just put there in the comments there, why Grant Hall was even playing, I don't know. Ayala's been excellent the last couple of games that he's played. No reason whatsoever that I can see, unless there's an injury, to drop him. But you would think that you could rely on Grant Hall and Sean Morrison. You would think that, wouldn't you? I am not happy with either of them, and I'm particularly not happy, if I'm honest, with Sean Morrison.
What, from Tuesday?
Just in general.
Okay.
My feeling, I get the feeling, and I could be completely wide of the mark here, so it's just the feeling that I get that he don't want to be here. He has no interest. The couple of little things when he went off when he was taken off against Watford, straight down the tunnel, looked like he got face on, didn't look happy. There's a couple of instances where, Watford was another game where, he just let the ball sail straight past him into the path of the striker, made no attempt whatsoever to play it. It just feels like he's a little bit lackluster, and I'm not convinced he's particularly wanting to be perfectly honest. And he seems to me to be the type of player that you would expect to step up when the team are in such dire straits psychologically away from home. You'd think he'd be one of the first names you'd want on your team sheet, and to be honest with you, he just seems to be compounding the problem. That's my view. I've got no basis for it other than what I've seen on the pitch, so I'm not saying that that's true in any way, but I'm not happy with him at all.
We expected him to be the success to Richard Wood, and the ability to just drag players up by the boots and sort them out, and he's just not really done that. No. Don't get me wrong, he's had some really good performances at times. He has had some good games where he's played well. He's not seen him be the leader that I thought he would be. Is maybe the issue.
Which I think is probably what feeds into the comments I've just made there.
Yeah.
You would expect him to be the leader. You would expect him to be the type of character that would get players playing again. Try and boost the confidence, and I don't see any of that at all. Maybe there. I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah. Like Shelley says, why drop Ayala and Nombe? Fred was injured in the warm-up and replaced with a defender with Appiah sat on the bench. We'll come to some of that in a moment because there's a lot to dig out. I want to go back to the starting 11 in a minute. Mike the Miller says, certainly not reasonable to predict a win at Hull. Can't believe the fog that Rotherham fans peer through. It was never going to be anything other than defeat. What I would say, Mike, is that we just took Leeds. Leeds are better than Hull. And we just pushed Leeds all the way, and we're probably lucky not to beat Leeds. And Hull had just come off a draw away at Swansea. Again, Swansea in no great shape. So I don't think it was unreasonable to sort of think. And also, it was the first game after Matt Taylor left, which, again, football's a weird little thing where weird things can happen. I think we all thought it was going to be our turn to something turn around. We're going to win eventually. I don't regret predicting a win. It was a stupid prediction as it turns out, but I'm not going to tell you a prediction for Birmingham yet, but it's not to Rotherham win. We'll go back to starting 11, Mick. We said Georgie Kelly started, and I think I was we put a tweet out from the podcast account saying it was great, and we all want to see Georgie Kelly, but with putting those hindsight goggles on, the setup was completely wrong. It was completely mad to go what was basically a 4-4-2 against Hull when you've got Philogene, you've got Delap. I can't look at right hand side, but he was brilliant as well. We tried pressing high up the pitch those players, and that is just madness to me. We've all heard how good from Hull fans and others that Philogene is an excellent player, for example. We watched Delap last season. I think Delap is limited, but he's got legs. He'll run and run and run. And the last thing you want to do is give him space in behind. And to take a man out of that midfield that was so good on Friday to go to a two-man central midfield blew my mind. And Ollie Rathbone is a right winger as well.
Yeah.
I'll come on to Nombe in a minute, but those changes, the setup was just wrong, and it was wrong instantly. You could see it was wrong instantly. Within a couple of minutes, the setup was completely wrong.
I don't know. I don't know whether I agree with that.
Okay.
And I don't know whether I agree with it because we didn't really have a chance to see. We had 4 minutes and then that was it, game over.
But it was something as Watford, they won it. Same kind of thing.
Yeah, it was similar. Yeah, it was similar. It gave the opposition a chance to exploit that width, which they did. So yeah, in terms of Georgie Kelly, I was glad to see him start, but I don't think he should be starting with Hugill.
No,
I think that was a mistake. If you're going to start him, you should start with Nombe. You've got two different types of players. You've got essentially the same player there. Whether he felt that those two were going to be able to bully that back line or not, I don't know. They didn't, unfortunately. But they didn't really get the opportunity because once they'd scored, we just ran back into our shells and just gave them the ball essentially and let them have a practice match. So they didn't really get the opportunity to give it a go.
Yeah, and Rathbone as a right winger.
No, why? Why would you do that when you've got a winger on bench? I don't get it. I don't understand. Whilst we are down to the bones, we've certainly got enough players for each position. So why would competent enough players for each position? Competent being the word, not necessarily outstanding or anything else, but certainly players who could play and are used to playing in specific positions, and yet we leave them on the bench. And I didn't get that. I didn't get I didn't get it. And like you said, when Fred gets injured in the warm up, we're replacing an attacker with a defender. But put that defender into midfield when you've got a midfielder on. It just kind of blew my mind a bit. But again, that for me, that's something that was synonymous with Matt Taylor's reign as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me. But what do we know? We know we lost 4-1, don't we?
Yeah, we lost 4-1. Yeah, those changes. You're right. It just stunk. It stunk of Cafu going out wide as well, like under Matt Taylor did. Yeah, crazy.
Round pegs in round holes. You need round pegs in round holes, and we've got the round pegs, but we're putting square pegs in holes, and it doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Nathan Cash, if you want two strikers on the field, we could try Nombe on the wing. Looks to me like he could do a job. Yeah, again, if you want to put a wide man out there, Nombe, having not seen him play out wide, it looks like the kind of man that can play out wide. He's got that pace. He's got that ability to run with the ball. I suspect he could do a job for you out wide. Better than Ollie Rathbone can do out wide. Ollie Rathbone's completely wasted. He didn't do anything out wide. Why would he? He has none of his attributes. And Ollie Rathbone say to me he's going to do a good job out wing. He's not particularly quick. He's not slow, but he's not particularly quick. He's not a great crosser of the ball. I've shown his set pieces all night, sadly. It just blows my mind. And Bernardin Happy is on bench as well.
Yeah.
He's fell well out of favour, Happy, hasn't he? I don't know what problem is there because he did all right when he came on. He were a nuisance when he came on, I thought. Again.
Yeah, it was. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
No.
It don't make any sense. It just smacks of not understanding the game, not seeing what's happening, not understanding the game. Forget that bit. No, he's just not recognizing what's happening on the pitch and dealing with it. Dealing with the threat that you're up against. It wasn't great. It wasn't great at all.
No. Salad Dodger 82 says we need a leader on the pitch, but the only one out there can take credit for the last few weeks is Victor. And that's a problem. Victor is great at what he does, and I think he is a leader on the pitch, but he's a goalkeeper. And that's really difficult for a goalkeeper to lead. Or take a leadership role.
I mean, Hakeem Adofin did his best to lead by example from that midfield, as he always does, and you would expect nothing less from him. But there were only the odd one or two, Ollie did his best again to get involved in the game, but he's out wide there. He's not going to be able to influence it as much as he would be in his normal position. He tried. The midfield themselves, I don't think were too bad.
They were a man short, though.
They were a man short and kept getting missed out. So the ball kept sailing over the top of them. There were some decent performances, but there were some really, really poor performances as well. And that cost us. That's what cost us.
We'll come on to the other goals in a minute. But I want to mention Nombe because this was, I know we've mentioned Ollie Rathbone out wide being an odd decision, but not playing Nombe was the most baffling decision because he has been brilliant the last few games. He was so good against Leeds. He led like a proper striker did against Leeds.
Yeah, he did.
There was no comments that he was injured. There was no comments that he was being rested. In fact, Wayne Carlisle sort of said afterwards that they wanted to get something along the lines of get a platform up top. Is something along the words that he used. I honestly don't get it because I thought it was excellent. I can't work out for the life of me why you're dropping Nombe. He's got that pace. He's got something different, like you mentioned earlier. He's different to Georgie and Hugo. He's got smells, and he's been playing well. If you're playing well, why are you dropping? Especially when the rest of the team is not necessarily playing that well.
Yeah, I agree with you. A mate of mine at work who's an avid Leeds supporter picked Nombe out and said he was a really good player. I was really impressed by him in that Leeds game, as we all were. And then he didn't start the next game. It didn't again. I don't understand it. Have we ever started the same team twice in the last 12 months? I don't know whether we have. There always seems to be some tinkering and kind of fanning about with something after it's worked. And the old adage of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It absolutely rings true, I know we're trying to adapt to other teams' tactics because every team plays differently, but adapt with the same players because in the main they're all capable of dealing with that. So I don't understand why he was dropped. I don't understand why Arla went onto bench. I don't get that either. It doesn't make any sense to me at all.
We mentioned it's a 3-game week, but we played on Friday, so we had an extra day to recover. Yeah. And you're only travelling to Hull. We're not going to Norwich or Bristol or something like that. It's an hour down the road to Hull, so there's not a travel day in there.
It's a 3-game week after an international break.
Yeah.
It's not like we've had another 3-game week the week before, or even a 2-game week. We've had 2 weeks off. And I know that there's the concern of injuries and everything else, and we don't know. Obviously, we don't know what levels these players are on in terms of the injuries that they're carrying and how close they are to being out for a while. But neither of those decisions made a lot of sense to me before the game, and certainly far less sense after it.
Yeah, we've changed 2 of the back 4. We put Peltier. It took Peltier out. Again, Peltier was quite good on Friday. Yeah, I think you needed to keep either Ayala or Peltier in there just to keep that some form of consistency. Talking of Peltier, that sadly brings us on to Dexter and Bakisa. Didn't have a great game, Mick. In general, the issue is the third goal, which is I think Philogene was a Philogene backheel the third goal.
The second.
Or it's second goal then. There you go. Dexter, that's a criminal bit of defending from Dexter there. He's turned his back inside his own 6-yard box. Ball, he's allowed the ball to hit him and then done nothing to try and win it back. inside his own 6-yard box. We've been great. We've praised Dexter a lot this season. I stand by a lot of what I said. I think there's going to be a great player in there. I can only assume that he's low on confidence because that second or two of football was one of the most amateurish bits of football I've seen in a long, long time. One of the first rules of football is do not turn your back on the ball, and certainly not in your 6-yard box.
Yeah. It wasn't great from him, and it weren't great from Morrison either.
No,
who went to close him down and didn't really half-heartedly went to close him down. He didn't even show his own legs. He stood there with his legs akimbo, and they went straight through him. It was just like Fred Carno's circus one. It was just embarrassing. That probably as bad defending as it was for the first goal. Just woeful. And it so deflating. 1-0, you think, all right, come on, let's just calm down. There's plenty of time. When a team scores on 4 or 5 minutes, if you can get your heads together and get back in the game, you're still in it. And then literally within 3 or 4 minutes, we're 2-0 down, and you're just wondering how many it's going to be at that point, given the level of defending that led to both those goals.
Yeah, undefendable, ironically. The defending, I don't. Yeah, and then game has almost gone at 2-0. It's not quite gone, but the game's almost gone at 2-0. And then you have the third goal as well, which sadly we have to give a bit of issue at Victor for. He got a big something on it.
Too much on it.
He got too much on it. Yeah, it did. Yeah, he got too much on it, and then your mate Scott Twine, from a yard out.
Yeah,
but that came from who was the missed clearance? Was it Hacks that had the missed clearance?
I thought it came from a long ball over the top. To be honest,
it did, but somebody tried clearing it midair, didn't they? I've watched it back.
Possibly. I don't know who that was. Whether it was Hacks or whether it was Tahi, I don't know.
Yeah.
But central defenders of the experience of Sean Morrison and Grant Hall should not be getting caught over the top like that. Whoever went to play that ball, absolutely not. That's literally schoolboy defending again, isn't it?
Richard Brown. They say at 2-0 you are the most vulnerable, except against Rotherham. Mike Miller says.
I felt very, very vulnerable at 2-0 down. Vulnerable to another 4 or 5.
Mike Miller says, young lad Dexter perhaps feeling a lack of confidence more than most, certainly way off championship. I think that's bang. I think Mike's nailed it. We've seen at times this season that he has got the ability to play at this level, and he doesn't have it right now for one reason or another. He doesn't have it. Right now he shouldn't be playing. Now, obviously, this penalty is fitness to manage, which is forcing him to play. I don't think we'll see Dexter on Saturday, to be honest with you, assuming Peltier is fit. But yeah, Dexter needs taking that firing line. And Sharp, the thing is, he had an international break. He didn't even not play. He had to go play for Jamaica. So he's not even had the benefit of not playing for a couple of weeks like everybody else had. And I think that's hurt him. Mike Wilson also says, why is there a surprise at Tuesday's confused tactics and selection for Taylor at Reed Carlisle? Both tactically very poor and cannot inspire. Scott Kent says, did anybody else turn off when the third went in? I feel for Sam Tower commentary, you'd be able to thank people at the end for sticking with it. Anybody that did stick with it to the very, very end. There's half time. The game's dead, isn't it? There's no 1-0. You're probably going to find it very difficult, but you're in it. At 2-0, it's probably not going to happen. But we have come back for 2-0 at home before when they weren't scored. But and then 3-0, that's game over. Go home.
Yeah,
go do something else because I can't get my head around this away. We'll talk about the fourth goal and our goal in a moment, maybe, but I can't get my head around this change in setup. We were talking on another podcast earlier about with a Hull fan, and he said he was shocked at the way we played. He was shocked how bad we were, having watched the Leeds game. If you watched 2 Rotherham games this season, one was the Leeds game, one was the Hull's game, you would not believe it's the same team. It's time just certainly to go back to basics away from home. Set up difficult to beat. Get your man up top. We're probably at a pace who can run in behind, and go from there. And we're not doing that at all. We're not doing anything that resembles logic, really.
No, we're not. We're not, and we've talked about it and talked it to death. And I don't know what else to say really. There's a huge psychological barrier now with those players that once they get under the cosh away from home, or once they go behind or whatever, they kind of mentally throw the towel in, or some of them do. And then it just leaves all the players who don't throw the towel in exposed, the likes of Victor and Tai Doffin, Rathbone. It leaves the rest of them exposed, and it's not great. It's not great at all. So the new manager, whoever that might be, when they come in, it's a huge problem that needs to be addressed, more so than anything else, I think. Well, it is. I mean, it's quite obvious that is got to be priority number one to stop us shipping goals and shipping defeats away from home, game after game after game.
Yeah, it's very negative. This.
Sorry. It's so difficult to pull any positives out of it, and there are some. Victor's still playing at a high level. We've talked about other players, Hakeem Adoffin and Christ Tahi, Ollie Rathbone. Cohen Bramall's not having a bad time of it at all. These players are sticking in there, but they are being let down by others around them. And that's what's. But the frustrating thing and the annoying thing is they're being let down by people who should know better. That's the worry.
Yeah. Shelley says he'd rather have Hacks at the back than Morrison. Him and Hall. Morrison and Hall can't play together. That brings on to the fourth goal, which again was Grant Hall playing the ball through again back to the 6-yard box. I mean, I think there was an accidental. I think. But the ball hit him and he just sort of nodded it back to the 6-yard line. The ball got knocked back on. So it's a great finish. Let's not take anything from the finish. It's a brilliant finish from there. But it's once again schoolboy defender, and it was just after half time. We all knew we could get back into that game, but it was the old adage: if you're 3-0 down, just go try and win second half, or whatever. And then in 5 minutes, if we're mentally starting again, you're 1-0 down again. In reality, 4-0 down again. It's just I don't really understand the situation of it's a mentality issue, isn't it? Let's be fair, it is a mentality issue. We're never going to get to the bottom of it because we're not qualified psychologists, but it was just bad again.
Yeah, would you? I texted you. I couldn't believe that what had happened. I just thought, well, he's offside. Why hadn't they given offside? I had absolutely no idea that Grant Hall had played the ball. So, yeah, you've covered it. It's just crap defending all round for all 4 goals essentially. So, there's not else we can say about it, is there? There's nothing positive to drag from it. So let's not sort of depress the life out of everybody and ourselves by going over it. It's not going to be cathartic. It's not going to be that cathartic experience that it often is after a defeat.
The only difference in that and the Watford game is that these goals were better quality than the Watford goals.
Really?
Well, the finish for the fourth one was excellent, and the Philogene back heel was excellent. It was.
I mean, it's a back heel. We can all back heel the ball. If you're telling me that you expected that to go in, then I'm sorry, I'm not buying that whatsoever.
You got to love a back heel goal. Back heel goals are great.
Yeah. Unless it's against you. If you're trying to tell me that he meant to score, he thought he were going to score by doing it. I mean, come on.
We spent a podcast in July saying that Andre Green meant that flick.
Well, yeah, but that were different. That were different because he had a look. But in all seriousness, a professional footballer is not going to back heel the ball towards goal and expect it to beat a goalkeeper and 3 defenders. It's just it was hopeful, is what it was.
It was, yeah, definitely was hopeful. Phil says, guys, when are you going to see the tactics? A bit gambling on injury-prone players has been disastrous. We are now in December and still managing their injuries.
Yeah. What can you do?
We have covered that extensively. I think the injury, we're over the worst of the injury crisis as things stand right now. We can, like you said earlier, we've got competent players in each position, whereas we were playing random people at centre half. We are over the worst. Well, it's hopefully the worst of it.
Oh, but I disagree with that comment.
Bills.
Who are the players that are injured?
Cam
Tyler Black is not an injury-prone 30-odd-year-old. Cam Humphries is not an injury-prone 30-odd-year-old. Cafu's not. Lucas is not injury-prone. None of these players that are out long-term, the ones that are playing at the moment are the more experienced players, and they're the ones that are not performing. So I'm not. I mean, I get where we're coming from with that, and I do have some sympathy for that point of view. But we can't afford anybody else. You know, we can't afford a 23-year-old who's going to do 46 games a season to a high level. We can't. We don't have that money. So I get why the gamble was taken. I understand that, and they're not the players that are out at the moment injured. They have been. I accept. So, yeah. What else do we do?
No. Yeah. No. Jimmy says if we did a backheel goal, you'd be saying it was goal of the season, Mick.
Of course I would, yeah. We did
it. We'll finish on the goal. Grant Hall got his first goal, maybe his first Rotherham goal. I'm not certain. I haven't checked that. It's certainly his first goal of the season, obviously. That goal was frustrating for me. It was because they really struggled with balls into the box, Hull.
Yeah.
We'd have thrown it before the first goal where they really struggled and they looked really uncomfortable. And then for the rest of the night, Rathbone's corners were just off it. He can put a great corner in, but not on Tuesday night. And they showed that they have vulnerabilities, Hull, and that makes the 4-1 even more frustrating. Because if we would have been so rubbish at defending, there was something in that game for us. If we defended just a bit better and defended like we weren't playing under 12s, then there was something in that game for us. I could see the plan of attack in terms of set pieces and long throws, and it did cause them problems occasionally.
Yeah, I mean, I would have thought putting ball in the box when you've got some strikers in there would cause a problem, eh? It's radical, isn't it? You're right, it did, and the first bit of quality that got in there, arguably quality, but the first ball that actually made it into that mix ended up in back at net, and I'm sure there would have been more had we got more balls in the box, but there still does seem to be that reluctance under Wayne Carlisle as there was under Matt Taylor to put the ball in the box, get it in the mix, and let's see what happens. That was successful for us in the early part of last season. Paul Warren's tactics was get that ball in the box, and we were successful with it, and that seems to have disappeared since Paul Warren left. It's been, there are some players who just point blank refuse to cross it. Lee Peltier being one of them. I don't think I've ever seen him cross a ball, no matter how good a position he's in. He always pulls it back for somebody else to do. But yeah, that's not criticism. That's just we didn't get the ball in dangerous areas at all, did we?
Not all, no. Tom Catley just wants to say he's not read a John Morell comment, so before he comes down for the last 5 minutes, let's hope we beat John Morell's Birmingham. Sorry, Rain Rooney's Birmingham. We will be speaking to John. John's going to do our scouting report for us. We're going to speak to him on Friday, so keep an eye out for the scouting report and regular viewer John, because he'll be doing it for us. Mike Miller, this is coming from earlier. We all know our away record. I presume, therefore, nobody's stupid enough to predict at the end of the show that we'll win at Birmingham. Probably not. Richard Morris says he felt sorry for Jamie Lindsay in the interview. I did feel sorry for him. I don't know if you've listened to this, Mick.
No.
I've listened to Jamie Lindsay a few times, but this was the first time I've realised how Scottish he actually is. He is so Scottish. He's the most Scottish man I've ever heard. Everything is just the deepest, the strongest Scottish accent with the words. If you don't listen to it, it's just good for that, to be honest with you. It did seem odd wheeling Jamie Lindsay out for an interview. We lost 4-1 when he played about 20 minutes of it. Knowing Jamie Lindsay, he probably stuck his hand up for it.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He's that kind of personality in it that he will stand on, will Jamie Lindsay. And when Peltz and Lindsay came on, we looked a different team. I mean, I accept that they'd take their foot off the gas a little bit, but we were far more aggressive. We were far more in the faces, and had that change happened earlier, and I know I accept it didn't for a reason, but we may have got reduced that goal difference a little bit at least.
Then the results on Wednesday went against us, so we're now 7 points adrift. QPR was a bit of a late win on Tuesday. I think they played QPR. We now sit 7 points adrift, Mick. And this is one of the things when we were talking, when Matt Taylor was here and we were having conversations if it's the right time for Matt Taylor to go or not. One of the things that we said was, if you're going to do it, you need to do it so when the gap is not crazy, when it's not 7 points, 10 points.
Yeah.
We did get rid of Matt Taylor before it got to 7 points, but we haven't appointed anybody else. And it's now 7 points adrift. That's at least 3 games, obviously. That's at least 3 games, the gap between us and Huddersfield. Coventry have sailed away, and Plymouth are just about in semi-reaching distance, but it is only semi at this point. That's a massive gap. Bear in mind, our games, I know there's lots of points to play for.
Yeah.
But based on how many games we win at this level, and I have always won at this level, that feels a massive gap.
Yeah. You can't argue. You can't argue with that. Absolutely, it does. But that's what happens when you're starting to, because of your away form, but you're starting to rely on other teams to do you favours, and that's not going to happen, is it? So yeah, it's a huge gap, which is another issue for any manager coming in, and it's another issue for the recruitment of a new manager as well. So yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all, that.
No, it's not. Shelley asks, is 7 points too much given our current form? It's never too much. And if the appointment's right, I go back to this, and people will probably get bored of me saying this, but how good this team can be, this team can get out of this hole. If somebody can find a bit of consistency, like we played against Leeds, like we played for an hour against Leicester, like Norwich, like Blackburn, like Preston for a bit, few other games. If somebody can get that out of this team, not every game, but every other game for 4 games out of 6, something like that, this team is good enough to get out of this hole. So that's why this appointment for me is massive, because the right man will get this team out of this. I have no doubt in the world that the right manager can get this team out of this, but it's got to be the right manager, and
it's got to be the right manager. It's got to be done in time. Which it's going to be done in time, obviously. Well, not obviously, but probably more than likely. Hopefully, fingers crossed. It's just a big gap. It's not a good place to be at the moment. But I don't think that's something that we can consider. We can think about. I don't think there's we've got to try and be positive as supporters and support the team and support the club and get that siege mentality. Around the club, so that because that's the only way, not the only way, but it's it will be a massive help to the team to get behind them, and the nobody likes us scenario. They don't want us here, whatever it is, whatever psychological ploy you need to get those players into the right frame of mind. And I think that's where arguably where Matt Taylor fell down. He's talk about and he's kind of jokey a little bit. I don't like this team like Rotherham attitude. And you can harness things like that. Yeah. You shouldn't dismiss it necessarily. I don't think you can dismiss it with certain players. Don't use it with certain players, but other players, they can harness it to their benefit. To improve the game and to improve their approach to the game. I think that was a bit of naivety, but that's still there now, and I think we're drawing on the results of that in terms of how we're performing away from home.
Yeah. Andy P says, slow defence, no goal threat. How can we possibly get out of this mess? We've got a goal threat at home. We've got plenty of goal threat at home. I'm not saying we're not going to score 6 and 7 goals a game, but there's certainly a threat there. And if you set up properly defensively, it doesn't matter how slow your defenders are, if they can defend properly, you can do it. You just need to set up properly. Sean Morrison and Grant Hall have been great players at other football clubs. They all have been great footballer at all the football clubs. You've just got to deal with them properly. You've got to set them up properly, and that's what's costing us. We're just not setting up right. Mike says, he loves my optimism that a new boss can save us. Ideally, hope we are right, but frankly, that's a pipe dream. Possibly. But we go. I was looking at some stats earlier, and I was looking at the 2 particularly bad relegation seasons, 2004 and 2016. and I think we were on 7 points at this stage of the season in both those seasons. Those seasons were doomed from almost the outset. From 3 or 4 games in, those seasons were doomed. I don't get that feeling from this team.
No.
There's something there. There is for me. There's definitely something there in these players and the way that they can play. But like I just said a minute ago, we just need somebody to unlock that in them.
Agreed.
Whether it happens or not is something remains to be seen.
I don't think we're at the stage of the season where we're talking about pipe dream at the moment because there's too many games left. You know, if we were 15 games left or whatever, then yeah, all right, I accept that. But we're not at that stage. I don't think just yet.
I agree. Shelley does ask, do we think we need an appointment this side of Christmas to give us a chance? I think we need an appointment after the weekend at the latest. That for me is the latest. If we go into a Swansea game, you've got Swansea and West Brom. West Brom are a good team, but we're at home against West Brom, so that makes it a winnable game. You've got a possibility, if you can get things right, you've got a possibility of putting a couple of wins together. I know we've got Leicester or whatever after that, but you need somebody in place, particularly for me, those 2 home games. Anyway, let's move on to another away game. By my maths, it's 24 away games without a win. That goes back. It still blows my mind that I last away when we're Sheffield United, who eventually got promoted. That does still blow my mind, to be honest with you. But 24 games. We are bottom of the form table, unsurprisingly, Mick. Birmingham are 3rd bottom of the form table. Their only win came against Sheffield Wednesday. They've got issues, Birmingham. Let's not beat around the bush. We'll find more about this problem, John, tomorrow on the scouting report. But they've got issues under Wayne Rooney. He wasn't wanted. I think that's fair to say. I'm not sure many Birmingham fans will disagree with me on that. He wasn't wanted when he came in, and he has not had an impact, having only beaten Sheffield Wednesday. You've got to be positive. I'm not saying let's go 2 strikers up top and Ollie Rathman out wide, but you've got to be positive against a Birmingham side who are on the floor mentally. Because we said this against Watford, that if you can get on top of them, the fans will turn. As with any fan base, the fans will turn, and that will make it better for us, and it'll give you a better opportunity. This is a winnable game. I'm not saying we're going to win, but this is a winnable game if you play this right, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely. If the Leeds team, the team that played up against Leeds turns up on Saturday, yeah, we'll win. They won't. Because history tells us that they won't. Recent history tells us that that's not going to happen. But if they do, we'll get something out of the game. There's no doubt in my mind, particularly given Birmingham's form at the moment, you know, and Rooney's not having any effect. Well, any positive effect it would appear on Birmingham City's performances. So yeah, it's a winnable game, but we're away. So it's just simply down to the fact that something has to change. Something has to change in the way that we approach away games, either on the pitch, actually on the grass itself, or in the players' heads. Some of the players' heads. Something has to change, and if it does, we'll get a result. No question in my mind. But I just can't see where that change is going to come from. That's the downside, the depressing part of it.
I completely agree. We'll go into these away games assuming that we've already lost, because the away form says what. Go on.
I was just going to say, I think that's probably a way a lot of the players approach it as well, and that's probably the issue. Yeah.
Jim Woodland says we definitely need a point against Brum, if not all 3, but it's who's in defence that matters the most in terms of results. Yeah. Z-Tom says sack Matt Taylor, played 2 up top, lads still can't do it. It is what it is. Support the team and have the faith. The faith part's the issue at the minute, isn't it? Yeah. What do you want to see, mate? Let's go. What do you want to see? So let's go through a line of what you want to see, because there should be no fitness issues, because Ayala's had a week off, Peltier's had nearly a week off. So from that point of view, there's no fitness issues. What do you want formation-wise? What do you want to see?
I want to see 5 across the back. I want to see Colin Bramall at left back. I want to see Ayala in there, Peltier in there, and one of either Hall or the other lad, Morrison. Who I've been calling out Morrison. I'm happy for Dexter still to be at right back, but whatever, we'll go forward if you want to put Peltz out there. But I want Ayala. I want Ayala back in there. I want. Hopefully, Fred will be fit. If he's not, Paya plays. No question in my mind. Tahi, Rathbone, and Hacks in midfield, and arguably, I might give Georgie another run, but I'd put Nombe up front with him. I wouldn't be putting Hugel up there, or I'd have Hugel and Nombe, whichever way around you want that. Defensively, Birmingham City are struggling. That's where their problem is. Going forward, they're not too bad, but defensively, they're not very great. Not great. So, that's probably where I'd go. How I'd go.
I'd go 4-3-3. Go back to 4-4-3/4-5-1. I think you go back same back four as we had against Leeds. Now, the potential fit has been midfield three again. Same three. We go Rathbone, Hacks, Tiahi as midfield three. That's got to be a midfield three unless Jim Mullins is available. It matters. If Jim Mullins is available, we could put Hacks back at centre half, couldn't we?
Yes, he could. Yeah.
Gives that bit of pace back there, and then if Fred's fit, Fred plays. If not, then Appiah plays, and then you've got to start Nombe. You've got to start Nombe.
You have because they are vulnerable at the back. So if you've got somebody like Hugel or Kelly and Nombe, they've got two different things to think about. It's going to be a struggle for them. We're going to, assuming that we actually manage to get the ball in the box, we're going to cause them some trouble. So absolutely, Nombe has to start for me.
Yeah. For my formation, that still leaves me. We'll play a short. There's an issue on the left wing potentially because we're lacking anybody really. But if Fred's fit and Appiah's fit, I'd start both of those.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to see Revan so far forward again. To be honest with you,
no.
That's what I don't know why you don't put Bramwell further forward and put Revan as an out-and-out left back.
Yeah, absolutely.
He can cross the ball. It's lightning pace. He can shoot.
Yeah. I think it's because his pace will get the likes of Morrison or Hall out of some trouble, which unfortunately that wasn't the case on Tuesday night. But I guess that possibly is where the thinking is.
Yeah, you've just got to be sensible to this game. You've just got to try and keep it tight without being defensive. In fact, we saw Matt Till a few times. We've tried to keep it tight by being ultra defensive. You've got to keep it tight whilst having a threat.
Keep it tight. Keep it tight. He can be ultra defensive. Just don't hand it to him on a plate. Because we handed 2 goals to him on an absolute silver platter.
Yeah,
and then game's done. Game's finished in 8 minutes.
Yeah. Mike Will says trouble is it seems to him that this team is beaten before it takes the pitch, regardless of who we play and who the opposition is. I would add, as when it's away from home. I agree. This team seemed defeated. Taking out transfer budget in January, get a psychologist in and just sort something out. Chris Anderson says there's no guarantees Carlisle and Co will be in place for the Birmingham game if Matt Taylor takes them to Bristol. Yeah, it's a potential issue. What I would say is when Matt Taylor came to us from Exeter, he didn't take all his staff at once so that he didn't disrupt Exeter. Now he left Exeter in much more amicable circumstances. But I would be surprised if they just up and leave tomorrow and it leaves Peltier in caretaker charge again. I don't know. But you never know. You never know. That might be cheaper. Pulls finger out.
Cheaper for us if they did.
It would be cheaper. It would save us money, which we could pay for somebody else then, couldn't we?
Yeah, if they're just going to resign, then they can resign. That's fine. But I don't think that will happen. I don't think that's an issue. I don't think so. Wayne Carlisle and company are that kind of people, and neither is Matt Taylor for that. It's not. That's not what this is about. So
yeah, feels like a dig at Paul Warren. That
did it.
It did, yeah.
Oh, well, no, that's no,
because that's what they did last year.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, well, there you go. Maybe subconsciously it was, but I didn't. I'd not even considered that. There you
go.
Yeah. Can't be seen to criticise Paul Warren. That will not do my reputation any good whatsoever.
Right. Let's go through predictions, Mick. I assume you're not predicting a win.
Yes, I am.
Oh God. 2-1.
Oh, your beard's getting on my nerves, mate. So I'm desperate for it to. I'm going to 1 to Rotherham, yeah.
2-1. All right, style. I'm not. I've gone 3-1 to Birmingham.
Right.
Our away record speaks for itself.
Yeah,
I got giddy on Tuesday, didn't I, by predicting a win on Tuesday.
Yeah, you did, yeah.
I won't be making the same mistake twice. John S says 5-0 to Birmingham.
Oh, come on.
Scott Kent says 3-1, same as me. Sarah Ogden says 2-0. Powerman says 3-0 to Birmingham. Terry Fenby's with you and says 2-1 to the Millers. Nathan Crabtree says 5-1. I assume that's to Birmingham. David Hope says 4-1 to the Millers. It's one of those games where I come into it, so I'm sort of saying that Birmingham are not as good as Hull.
No.
But are they as good as Watford? Because Watford weren't very good, were they?
No.
But they still spanked us 5-0. And that's the thing. It doesn't seem to matter how good the opposition are. It's just we're going to lose based on how much they fancy it at the time. David Hope is a new favourite of the podcast. He says 4-1 to the Millers.
Yeah, that's fine. I actually did it. Agreed.
YouTube says 2-0 to the Millers. Matty Miller says defeat. Surely can't be anything else, so sadly. Richard Brown says I'm going to look like Father Christmas eventually. It grows very slowly, my beard, to be honest with you, but it is getting annoying now. Top Kelly says 3-1 to the Millers. Neil says 2-1. Dave Carroll says 2-0. Andy P says 3-0 at half time to Brum. Lord knows how many in the second half. I'll take the forecast by them.
Oh, you've got to laugh.
Yeah.
Well, you haven't, but
no. This is a really, really negative podcast recently, and I'm very, very sorry, everybody. I was thinking about the other day that we've loved doing this podcast for the last few years, but this is tough at the minute. This is really, really tough to have to think about it. I went on the Just Joe podcast earlier, and it's just tough to talk about and think about on a constant basis. But it'll turn. That's the thing about football, isn't it? This is not going to last forever. And in a week's time, we could be sat here saying, bloody hell, we won't go here. I don't think we will be. But we could, and that's football for you.
Could happen, mate. Could happen. Tobias is over for the Swansea game, and he doesn't see us lose. So
3
optimism for you.
What we need to do is get him to come to all the away games, because it's the away games we've got a problem for.
Yeah. If we should have to start a GoFundMe page.
Yeah. Nick Thompson's positive says 3-2, sorry. Yeah. Andy P says, we're all heart and soul, Millers, but what we've got on the pitch is poor. Yeah, it's tough.
Yeah, it is away. At home, I'm happy with them.
I am. Yeah, I am. Yeah. It's tough, but we're all in it together. And those that are going Saturday, you deserve all the praise in the world, because that is to keep going to the away games. Those that went on Hull, those that are going Saturday, to keep following the Millers away from home is some effort. To put your lives on hold on a Saturday afternoon and watch that is some serious commitment to this cause. You all deserve all the praise in the world and all the credit. If you don't laugh, you certainly cry. That's Rotherham United for you. Matt Mill says, guys, you two and the other lads are doing a great job. Said it many times. You give us a voice in the good times and bad. That is priceless. Thank you very much, Dave. I wasn't fishing for compliments, but David Hope says, on a serious note, I really appreciate it, guys' efforts with the podcast. It helps me each week, and I look forward to it on Thursday. Fair play. Sending in the love together, guys. Thank you. Yeah, that's what we do it for. This is why we do it, to do it as a bit of a community kind of thing. We will end it there. Now, I don't expect an appointment on Friday, but if there is, there won't be an emergency podcast because it's Legends Night. So it'd be typical Rotherham United, to be honest with you, mate, wouldn't it, to make an appointment. You can't do an episode. If you're going to Legends Night, feel free to say hello. We'll be the sad-looking Rotherham fans. Well, about 300 of us, won't there?
Yeah.
But yeah, say hello if you're there. We are scheduled back on Sunday evening, which will be the review of the Birmingham game, and then a look forward to the week ahead. Who knows what the week ahead will have? And again, if there is obviously an appointment next week, the emergency podcasts will come into place at some point. And then we're in Christmas. When does the Christmas period start?
Oh God, yeah, we're gonna have to have that holly in bottom bit of thing down there, aren't we? And then you're gonna have to start thinking about the Christmas special, Matthew.
I've already thought about it. I don't know what we've got pressure on the last 2 years. They've been really good. I think they've been really good episodes. There's pressure on to get. Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know what the plan's going to be. We'll see what we can do. We'll get the Christmas hats out soon. Anything else, Mick? We're going over an hour. Just two of us. We're going over an hour tonight. That's quite a lot going.
No, I'm fine, mate. I'm talked out about. I'm fed up of managers. I'm fed up of away form. Don't want to talk about any of that anymore. Thanks a lot.
I had a message earlier. I didn't tell you this, but I had a message from one of my friends that said, "Mick looks like a broken man these days. Rotherham United are slowly breaking him."
They're going to have to go a lot further than that. I mean, the only other thing I suppose is R.I.P. to Shane McGowan, who's passed away today. I guess that means we're going to hear Fairy Tale in New York a few times in these next few weeks. But it's the only thing I'm amazed about with the life he's led is that he managed to make 65. To be perfectly honest, that's a miracle in itself. But hell of a songwriter, hell of a songwriter.
Yes, praying for his own Fairy Tale of New York this season, aren't we? To be fair.
Well, indeed.
But yeah, thank you all for being with us. Make sure you subscribe. We're creeping up to 1,300 subscribers on YouTube. So please do subscribe if you haven't done already. Oh, referee. Thank you, Martin. Who was the referee? Yes, that is Andy Davies, the referee. He was the referee at Hillsborough, South Yorkshire Derby. He was very picky and poor. It was poor. Also, we should mention this because I think we gave her a bit of stick. I thought the referee on Tuesday was really good. I thought she went unnoticed, which is one of the best things you can say about a referee. I said on the other show it was quite easy because we just didn't turn up. So it's quite easy to referee one team. But we should credit where credit's due. I thought it was an excellent performance. At least somebody had a good performance. Yeah. Well, the scout report should be up Friday, hopefully. If not, it'll be latest Saturday morning because of the Legends night. And because Birmingham played Wednesday, it's caused a bit of issues. But that will be out. Mick's been on the Blue Focus one.
Can't remember. Yeah, Blue Focus, I think.
So if you want to check out Mick, he's on there.
Don't, because it's far more depressing than this one's been, and that's saying I won't bother.
Fair enough. Thank you all for being with us. Like I said, we appreciate you being with us on these Thursday and Sunday evenings and the emergency pods when they happen. We'll be back next time. Up the Millers. That's what else to say. Up the Millers.
It's a Wales through a goal, slots it beyond Birmingham, and the Millers are in front in the South Yorkshire Derby. And for the first time in 42 years, Rotherham United win at Bramall Lane. On the edge of the box for Duffy, he can hit them, and he does. The Dolphin has scored an absolute screamer for Rotherham United. Rotherham United have secured their championship status for next season.